Okay, so any language starts with its grammar, right?
Right.
In enterprise modeling, it seems it's not just about the words, the elements, but how you connect them meaningfully.
Exactly. The source material actually spends significant time defining the relationships.
Okay.
And these are crucial because they describe how elements interact or depend on each other, or how they structure each other. The spec breaks them down into key types.
Right. You've got structural relationships, for instance. The cards list things like composition and aggregation.
Hmm.
They both sound like things combining, but composition seems stricter, like parts that make up a whole.
That's right. They can't really exist on their own,
Huh.
at least not in that specific context. Think of a car engine composed of specific parts. Aggregation is, well, looser. It's more like a collection or a group. The members could easily exist independently, like a project team aggregating different specialists.
Got it. And then there's assignment.
Yes, assignment. That's about allocating responsibility or performance, like a specific user role being assigned to carry out a business process.
And realization. You mentioned that one being important.
Very important. It shows how something more concrete, more detailed, actually brings to life or implements something more abstract.
Like software realizing a function.
Exactly. Or a business process realizing a business service that's offered to a customer. It links the abstract to the concrete.
That realization one feels really key. It shows how the ideas become reality in the architecture.
It absolutely is. It's one of the fundamental ways Archimate connects those higher-level concepts right down to the things that actually perform them.
Okay, moving on. Dependency relationships. Serving sounds like a big one here.
Probably the most common, yeah. Serving is when one element provides its functionality, its capability, for use by another.
So like an application serving a business process.
Precisely. Or maybe a database server serving data to an application component.
And access, how's that different?
Access models how active elements, think actors, components interact with passive ones like data or business objects. Are they reading, writing? Maybe both.
So serving is about capability flow. Access is about information flow, maybe?
Or material flow, potentially. Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. Access is interaction with passive stuff. And there's also influence, which shows how one element affects the properties of another. This is particularly relevant when you're looking at motivation elements like goals or drivers.
Okay, makes sense. What about things changing over time?
For that, you have dynamic relationships. Triggering shows a temporal or causal link. One event or process step triggering the next one.
Like dominoes falling.
Sort of, yeah. And flow is about the transfer of something, specific data, material, energy between elements.
Right.
And we shouldn't forget specialization. It's simple, but quite powerful. It just indicates that an element is a particular kind of another element.
So laptop is a specialization of device.
Exactly. Helps you build hierarchies and be more specific.
The cards also mention relationship connectors like the junction. What's that for?
The junction isn't a relationship itself. It's more of a modeling helper. It lets you join multiple relationships, but only if they're of the same type.
Oh, so it helps tidy up diagrams if lots of things serve one thing.
Exactly. Or if one thing serves many others, avoids a spaghetti diagram. The real power, though, of having all these defined relationships is that common semantic meaning.
Right.
Everyone using Archimate knows what serving means, what composition implies. That consistency is just invaluable for clarity.
Okay, that gives us the connectors, the grammar. Now, what about the words? You mentioned Archimate structures its elements into layers.
Yes, layers. They offer different perspectives, different viewpoints on the enterprise. It's like slicing the organization horizontally to look at specific aspects.
And it starts with the why.
It does. The motivation layer. This whole layer is about the elements that represent the context, the goals, the drivers, basically what shapes the architecture.
So we're talking about stakeholders here, people or groups with an interest.
Yep. Stakeholders, drivers, those external or internal conditions pushing for change and assessments, which are the results of analyzing those drivers.
Yeah.
Like SWOT analysis findings.
Okay, and this is where goals live.
Goals, yes. High-level statements of what you want to achieve. And outcomes, the actual end results or effects you're aiming for.
And guiding how you get there are things like principles.
Principles, which are general rules or properties that should hold true. Requirements, more specific needs or properties. And constraints, which are limitations or restrictions.
Right.
And don't forget, value the relative worth or importance, and intecting, meaning the knowledge or interpretation tied to concepts. Starting here gives you that critical context. Why does everything else exist? Why is it changing?
I really like that the standard pushes you to start with why. It just anchors everything else that follows.
Absolutely.
So, okay, once you know the why, how do you model the plan, the strategy?
Well, that leads us nicely to the strategy layer.
Mm-hmm.
This layer is about modeling how the enterprise actually positions itself and uses its resources and capabilities to hit those goals from the motivation layer.
Okay, so the elements here, resources, like assets.
Exactly. Assets the organization owns or controls could be financial, physical, informational.
Mhm.
And capability, which is the ability of an active structure element, like a team or a system, to do something specific.
And value stream, that sounds important.
It is. A value stream describes a sequence of activities that create a specific result for a customer or stakeholder, often cuts across different parts of the organization.
Okay.
And then course of action, which is basically a plan or approach that configures those capabilities and resources together to achieve a specific goal.
So this layer really connects the high-level why to the more operational what and how.
Precisely. It's designed explicitly to bridge that gap between strategy and operations.
All right, so we have the why and the strategic how. What about the actual doing, the day-to-day business?
That brings us to the business layer. This is probably the most familiar layer for many people. It describes the business structure, the processes, the information, the services.
Okay, so you've got your active structure elements and the people and groups involved, like business actor.
Right. A business actor, an org unit, a person, a business role like the hat an actor wears for specific tasks, and business collaboration when multiple actors or roles work together.
And then what they do, the behavior.
Yep. Business process, a sequence of behaviors for a specific result, like process insurance claim. Business function, a collection of behavior grouped by skill or resource, like human resources. And business interaction, the collective behavior performed by a collaboration.
And what they work with, the passive stuff.
The passive structure elements, that's your business object. A key concept in the business domain, like an invoice or a customer or a product. And representation, the perceptible form of information, maybe a printed report or a dashboard on a screen. This layer also includes business service, that's explicitly defined behavior the business offers. And the business interface, the point where that service can be accessed.
And it all ties together with the product, a bundle of services.
A bundle of services and maybe some passive elements, yeah, often offered with a contract defining the agreement. It lets you model the core operations and offerings.
The key here seems to be modeling the business itself separate from the tech that might support it.
Exactly, independent of how it might be supported by technology.
Which, of course, leads us perfectly to the next layer.
The application layer. You guessed it. This layer deals with the software applications that support that business layer we just talked about.
And it kind of mirrors the business layer's structure, but for software.
It does, quite deliberately. You have application component, think a deployable piece of software. Application collaboration, application interface, application function, application interaction, application process, application event, and application service. It's a parallel structure.
And the crucial passive element here is data object.
Data object, yes. Information structured specifically for automated processing within applications.
I find that distinction between business object and data object really useful.
Me too.
Like, the business object customer is the concept,
Right.
while the data object is how customer info is actually structured in the database, fields, types, all that.
Precisely. It lets you model the business concept and its technical representations separately. Vital when you're talking system implementations. Application services provide the functions that support business processes, often by manipulating these data objects.
Okay, so we've gone from business ops to the software supporting them. What does all that software actually run on?
Now we're down to the technology layer. This covers the hardware, the system software, the networks, the whole infrastructure environment.
So this includes the actual computers and servers, nodes and devices?
Yep. Nodes, which can be computational or physical resources. Devices like servers, workstations, smartphones. System software, your operating systems, database management systems, middleware, and technology collaboration for when these things work together.
But you mentioned it's broader than just IT.
It is. The passive structure elements here include artifacts, think deployment scripts, executable files, configuration data, but also equipment, actual physical machinery, maybe factory robots, facilities, buildings, data centers, and even material, tangible physical stuff, or energy.
Wow, okay. Including material and equipment really pushes this beyond just IT architecture.
It does. It allows modeling of operational technology, physical assets, supply chains. The layer also defines how things connect and move. Communication network for IT, distribution network for transporting material or energy, and path for logical links.
It shows the full stack,
Yeah,
real.
full range of infrastructure
Okay.
supporting the enterprise, yeah.
So applications from the application layer run on the technology in this layer. And business processes from the business layer are supported by those applications running on this technology. The whole picture is starting to connect.
Exactly. And finally, Archimate includes a layer specifically for managing change, the implementation and migration layer.
How we get from here to there.
Pretty much. This layer focuses on the actual work of transformation, like projects and programs. Elements include work package, a defined chunk of work producing results.
Like a project task or phase.
Could be, yeah. Deliverable, the actual result of a work package. An implementation event, a significant state change, like a go live or a key milestone.
And this is where plateau comes in.
Yes, plateau. It represents a relatively stable state of the architecture that exists for a limited time during a transition. Think of it like a temporary baseline or an intermediate step.
Okay.
And gap, which is simply a statement about the difference between two plateaus, what needs to be overcome or built.
This layer feels incredibly practical. It maps the journey from, say, the current state architecture to a target state, defines the steps,
The work packages, the results,
deliverables.
and helps understand the starting points, the plateaus, and what needs bridging, the gaps.
Exactly. It connects all those static architectural descriptions we've been talking about to the dynamic process of actually making changes happen.
The cards also quickly mention composite elements like grouping and location.
Right. Grouping is just a way to, well, group elements together on a diagram for convenience. It doesn't add semantic meaning, just organization. Location represents a place, conceptual or physical. Helps add spatial context.
Useful for keeping diagrams readable.
Definitely. It's